Okay, I don't know who else to talk to about this, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. I think I've completely, irrevocably destroyed my friendship with my best friend Maeve. And the absolute worst part, the part that's eating me alive, is that I genuinely thought I was helping her. My intentions were good, I swear they were. I keep telling myself that over and over like a mantra, but the words just feel hollow now, echoing in the huge, silent space she's left behind. Maeve is, well, she's my person. Or she was. She's the one who hired me at the foundation, who took a chance on me when I was just a clueless kid fresh out of college with a degree in sociology and a resume full of nothing but part-time barista jobs. She saw something in me, she said, a spark of critical thinking that no one else bothered to look for. She's my mentor, my guide, the one I turn to for everything from a crisis of confidence over a grant proposal to a stupid argument with my landlord. She was preparing for this incredibly important speech, a preliminary round for the Atherton Fellowship, a program that could literally define the next stage of her career. It was everything to her. We'd spent weeks talking about it, brainstorming angles, her excitement was infectious, and I just wanted to help her succeed. I saw one tiny little flaw, one potential stumbling block that I was sure she couldn't see herself, and I pointed it out. I thought I was being a good friend, the only friend who would be honest enough, brave enough, to tell her the hard truth before she stood in front of those judges. That's what best friends do, right? We protect each other, we polish each other's armor. Now she won't even look at me. I get polite, empty emails about work projects, curt, professional, devoid of any of her usual warmth. In the hallway, I get a tight, painful smile that doesn't reach her eyes. It's like a light has just been switched off and I'm left fumbling in the dark. I've replayed our last real conversation 100 times, and I just can't connect the dots. I don't understand how my attempt to help her be perfect could have caused this utter devastation. It feels like I've been cast as the villain in a story I didn't even know we were writing. To understand why this is killing me, you have to understand Maeve. She's not just a friend. She's practically the architect of my adult life. I walked into the Oak Haven Foundation 5 years ago, a nervous wreck in an ill-fitting blazer I bought on clearance. The interview panel was intimidating, all serious-looking people with impressive titles. Maeve was on that panel. While the others grilled me on my non-existent experience, Maeve asked me what I was passionate about. She leaned forward, her chin resting on her hand, and just listened. She made me feel seen. Later, after she'd somehow convinced the director to hire me as a junior program assistant, she told me she'd fought for me. The others saw a risk, she'd said, stirring her coffee in the break room. I saw potential. Don't make me look bad, Ivy. And I didn't. I worked my ass off, mostly because I was terrified of letting her down. She taught me everything. How to write a compelling grant narrative, how to navigate the egos of major donors, how to de-escalate a tense community meeting. She was my safety net. Whenever I was in over my head, Maeve would swoop in, not to solve the problem for me, but to talk me through it until I could solve it myself. She empowered me. She's brilliant, one of the most articulate people I know. She can command a room with a quiet confidence that I've always envied. She comes from an Irish family, moved to the States as a teenager, and though you'd never know it from her day-to-day speech, there's this tiny, almost imperceptible lilt that surfaces when she's tired or passionate about something. It's a subtle musicality, a slight softening of her vowels. It's especially noticeable when she tackles complex, multi-syllable academic words. Most people, myself included, always found it utterly charming. It was part of her, like the constellation of freckles across her nose or the way she'd chew on her pen when she was deep in thought. It was a signature, but as the day of her fellowship presentation drew closer, I started to notice it more. I'd hear her practicing her speech at her desk, and my ear would catch on it. This little detail, this charming quirk, began to transform in my mind. It was no longer a part of her unique charm, it became a flaw, a tiny crack in an otherwise perfect facade. And in the hyper-competitive, often elitist world of academic fellowships, I convinced myself that a flaw like that, however small, could be the thing that held her back. It was a vulnerability, and my job as her friend and mentee was to eliminate it, for her own good, of course. So Maeve decided to do a dry run. It was 2 days before the preliminary competition, a Tuesday afternoon. The office was emptying out, the usual 5 o'clock hustle fading into a quiet hum. She booked a small glass-walled conference room and asked just two of us to be her test audience, me and Ronan. Ronan is another senior fellow at the foundation, a kind, gentle soul in his late 40s with a calming presence and a deep respect for Maeve. He's known her even longer than I have. It was meant to be a safe space, a final, supportive tune-up before the real thing. The whole atmosphere was supposed to be relaxed, a friendly pit crew for her big race. She started her presentation, standing at the head of the long table, a few note cards in her hand that she barely glanced at. Honestly, she was magnificent. The speech was about the socioeconomic impact of community-based arts programs in marginalized urban areas, her life's work. She wasn't just reciting facts. She was testifying. She was passionate, her arguments were razor-sharp, and her delivery was filled with a conviction that made you want to stand up and enlist in her cause right then and there. She built her case with meticulous data and then wove in these beautiful, humanizing stories from the field. Stories of kids who found a voice and a future in a pottery class or a theater group. She was glowing. When she finished, the small room felt charged with an energy far bigger than the three of us. She looked at us, a little breathless, her face flushed with exertion and a hopeful, nervous smile. Ronan, bless him, jumped to his feet. Maeve, that was incredible, he gushed, his hands clasped together like he'd just witnessed a miracle. Seriously, you're going to blow them away. I have goosebumps, not a single note, it's a masterpiece. He was right, it was a masterpiece. But my brain, my stupid, arrogant brain, was stuck on one thing, one word. One single, five-syllable word. She had used the term phenomenological to describe a specific qualitative research approach she'd adapted. And when she said it, that tiny, familiar lilt had surfaced. Phenomenological, to anyone else it was just her voice, but I heard it and a klaxon went off in my head. In that moment, all I could see were the stuffy, old guard judges of the Atherton Fellowship, a panel of desiccated academics and corporate patrons, people who probably came from generations of wealth and Ivy League privilege. I saw them latching onto that sound. I pictured them exchanging a subtle glance, a micro-expression of bias that would mentally downgrade her from serious contender to charming immigrant but not quite one of us. It was a vision so clear and so terrifying to me that it felt like a prophecy I had a duty to prevent. So while Ronan was still singing her praises, I held up a hand, a gesture that was far too dismissive. Hang on a second, I said. The celebratory atmosphere in the room immediately deflated, the air growing thick and still. They both turned to look at me, Ronan with a confused frown, Maeve with a look of open, trusting curiosity. That was really, really strong, Maeve, I began, adopting the tone of a seasoned coach, a tone I had no right to use with her. Your content is undeniable. But there's one tiny thing on the delivery, it's your pronunciation of phenomenological. I said the word slowly, carefully, enunciating each syllable in what I considered to be the crisp, sterile, correct American news anchor way. Your accent comes through a little bit on that word, it's a bit distracting, it might throw some people off. I saw a flicker of something in Maeve's eyes, surprise, maybe a little confusion, but it was gone in an instant. She recovered quickly, offering a tight but polite smile. Oh, okay, thanks, Ivy, I'll keep that in mind. She started gathering her note cards, a clear signal that the feedback portion of the evening was over. But it wasn't over for me. My brain had locked onto the problem, and now I felt a bizarre, urgent need to solve it. The initial goal to help was rapidly morphing into a need to be right, to have my observation validated, to win this imaginary battle I had just declared. I felt a surge of something that felt like wisdom but was probably just arrogance. No, I think we should fix it now, I said, my voice taking on a chipper, unbearably patronizing tone. It's a muscle memory thing, we can drill it out of you in a few minutes. Ronan shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Ivy, I really don't think it's a big deal, he interjected, his voice gentle. If anything, it makes her sound more authentic, it's her voice. I waved his comment away, not even looking at him. My focus was entirely on Maeve. He's just being nice, I said to her, a conspiratorial smile on my face, as if Ronan's kindness was a weakness we both needed to overcome. But this is a high-stakes competition. Every little detail matters. We don't want to give them any reason, any silly little subconscious reason to score you down. I leaned forward, my hands flat on the conference table, turning the space into a classroom where I was the teacher. It's easy, just break it down, come on, say it with me. I looked her directly in the eye, my smile unwavering, phenomenological. The silence that followed was heavy and cold. Maeve just stood there, her note cards clutched in her hand. Her face had gone pale and the warm, hopeful glow from her speech was completely extinguished. She looked small. I had made her feel small, I saw it happening but I couldn't stop. Come on, just try it, I coaxed, my voice sickeningly sweet, for me. Phenomenological. I was holding her hostage. I had taken her moment of triumph, the culmination of weeks of hard work, and twisted it into a public spectacle of her perceived inadequacy. I wasn't helping her, I was asserting my own superiority using a five-syllable word as a weapon. Ronan was staring at me now, his expression a mixture of disbelief and horror. He opened his mouth to say something else, but Maeve, with a tiny, almost imperceptible shake of her head, silenced him. Her eyes were still locked on mine, but they were glossy now, shimmering with something I couldn't or wouldn't name. Her lips parted as if to form the word, but no sound came out. She just looked at me, and in her silence, I had finally, definitively won. The dry run ended right there. The energy in the room was toxic, and we all knew it. Maeve mumbled a quiet "thanks for your time" to the room in general, gathered her things with a precision that felt designed to avoid looking at me, and left. Ronan gave me a look I couldn't quite decipher. It was disappointment, but it was laced with a kind of pity that made my skin crawl, and followed her out a moment later. I sat there alone in the glass-walled conference room, buzzing with a strange, sour victory. In my narrative, I had done the hard thing, the necessary thing. I had been the tough love friend. I expected Maeve to be a little bruised, maybe, but to come back tomorrow and thank me for my honesty. I was so certain of my own righteousness. I packed up my bag, telling myself that true friendship isn't always comfortable. The next 2 days were excruciatingly quiet. Maeve was a ghost. She was physically present in the office, but her spirit was gone. She responded to my work emails with one-sentence replies. If we passed in the hall, she'd give me that same tight, bloodless smile I'd seen in the conference room. I tried to catch her by the coffee machine once, starting with a cheerful, "Hey, feeling ready for the big day?" She just nodded, topped up her mug, and said, "I have to take this call," before walking away, leaving me standing there feeling foolish. I was confused and, I'll admit, a little indignant. My brain started spinning excuses. She's just stressed about the speech. She's overreacting. She's being too sensitive. I was the one who had tried to help, and now I was being punished for it. It didn't seem fair. The night before her competition, my phone buzzed. It was an email from Maeve. My heart leaped, thinking this was the apology or at least the conversation starter I'd been waiting for. The subject line read, "Regarding our friendship." My blood ran cold. I opened it. The email was calm, articulate, and utterly devastating. It was written with the same clarity and precision she brought to her professional work. There were no angry accusations, no emotional outbursts. It was worse. It was a final report. She wrote that she valued the years of our friendship and the support I had given her. But she continued, the incident at the practice session had made her realize something fundamental. She said she realized that I didn't see her as an equal, as a friend and mentor, but as a project that I felt entitled to fix. She wrote, "Your help wasn't about my success. It was about your comfort. You tried to sand down a piece of my identity, a piece of my history, because you deemed it imperfect. And you did it in front of someone else, turning my vulnerability into your stage." The final paragraph was the killer. "I cannot have a friendship where I am constantly under scrutiny, waiting for the next flaw to be helpfully pointed out. The trust and safety that are essential for me in a friendship are gone. Therefore, while I will of course maintain a professional and collegial relationship with you at work, I am ending our personal friendship. I wish you nothing but the best." That was it. It was a severance, formal, final, and absolute. There was no room for argument, no opening for a tearful apology. She had taken a scalpel and neatly, cleanly excised me from her life. I think I read the email 20 times, each time hoping the words would somehow change. They didn't. The finality of it was like a punch to the gut. A friendship doesn't just end with a formal declaration, does it? It's not a business contract you terminate, but she had. I felt a wave of panic, a desperate need to undo it. This was all a huge misunderstanding, a massive overreaction to a single stupid word. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. I knew her competition was that afternoon, and the thought of her being there without my good luck text, without our usual pregame ritual, made me feel physically ill. I needed to fix this. I saw Ronan in the kitchen, pouring a cup of tea, and I cornered him. "Ronan, you have to talk to her," I pleaded, my voice probably sounding as frantic as I felt. "She's ending our friendship over this, over a word. Can you please just tell her I was trying to help, that she's misunderstood everything?" Ronan set his mug down on the counter and looked at me, his kind face etched with a deep sadness. He wasn't angry, which somehow made it worse. He just looked tired. "Ivy," he said softly, "I don't think you're the one who has misunderstood." I stared at him, waiting for him to elaborate. He took a deep breath. "She said, she doesn't get it, she wasn't helping me. She was telling me that even after everything I've taught her, everything I've given her, she still found a way to feel superior to me. She used the sound of my own voice, the voice I inherited from my family, the voice I used to tell my stories, to prove that I was still somehow not good enough. She wanted to erase a part of me to make me fit her idea of perfect. His words hit me with the force of a physical blow. She wanted to erase a part of me. The ugliness of what I had done, stripped of all my self-serving justifications, was suddenly laid bare. It wasn't about a word, it was about respect, it was about identity. And I had trampled all over it with my smiling, helpful arrogance. The end of the story is almost laughably ironic. That evening, the Foundation's internal newsletter went out. There was a special announcement at the top. Maeve had not only competed in the Atherton Fellowship preliminaries, she had won first place. They even included a quote from one of the judges, a notoriously tough professor from the university. Miss O'Connell's research is compelling, the quote read, but it was her passionate, deeply authentic, and charismatic delivery that truly set her apart. I read it and I felt nothings. No joy for her, no relief, just a vast, hollow emptiness. I had picked a fight over the exact quality the judges had praised. I had tried to correct the very thing that made her shine. I had set out to win a tiny, insignificant battle over the pronunciation of a single word, and in doing so, I had lost the entire world. I won my stupid, pointless argument in an empty room, and the prize was this crushing, permanent silence. This is my victory, and it is the most desolate place I have ever been.